All right, students, we are going to jump in and look at how to graph a system of linear inequalities and then enter that answer into WAMAP. So here we go. We want to graph this system of linear inequalities. 2x plus 5y is less than or equal to 30. 4x plus 4y is less than or equal to 36. X is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0. These last two are the constraints that x has to be greater than or equal to 0 and y has got to be greater than 0. Just means that we're working here in the first quadrant. Anything in the first quadrant has a positive x coordinate and a negative and a positive y coordinate. And of course the axes are included too, but we have to deal with those. And the easy way to graph something like 2x plus 5y equals 30, we're going to start by graphing the lines 2x plus 5y equals 30, is to look at the intercepts. If x is 0, if we plug in 0 for x, I'll get just 2 times 0 plus 5y equals 30, and I can solve that in my head. The 2x just sort of disappears, and I just need to divide both sides by 5, so I get y equals 6. And if I do a similar sort of thing and find the y-intercept, if I put in 0 for y, oops, that's the y-intercept. If I put in 0 for y to find the x-intercept, if x is equal to 0, y would work out to be 15. And so this line is going to connect 6 on the y-axis and 15 on the x-axis. Alright, so the line 2x plus 5y equals 30 connects those 2 points. Kind of a rough sketch there, that's okay for what I need. And then the solution side of that, if you try, we've got an inequality, so the inequality is going to mean that either everything above the line is a solution or everything below the line is a solution. But if you try it, which is some sort of test point, any point that you want that's not on the line, say if I do a test with the point 1, 3, that's definitely over 1 and up 3, that's definitely not on the line. If you try that point in there, 2 times 1 plus 5 times 3 equals 30. Oh, actually, it's less than or equal to 30. I want to go back to the inequality part of that. I'm going to have 2 plus 15 is 17. 17 is definitely less than 30. That means everything on the 1, 3 side of the equation is a solution. So my solution region starts off being kind of this area down there. Still in the first quadrant because x has got to be greater than or equal to 0 and y has got to be greater than or equal to 0. And now let's look at the 4x plus 4y equals 36. I'm going to look at it as a line without having to deal with the plane to start with. And let's see, if x is 0, if you plug in 0 for x, you'll get y is equal to 9. And if you do the same thing, if you plug in 0 for y, you'll find that 4x equals 36. So divide both sides by 4, and you'll get 9 there. So 0, 9. See, this was 6 there, 7, 8, 9 is up here. And so 4x plus 4y equals 36 connects these 2 points in here. All right, the other point, well, I need to decide what region to shade in terms of the inequality coming back over here. And I used a point that was a little bit different, 1, 3 last time, but I usually like to use 0, 0 because plugging in zeros is usually really easy. If you plug in zeros into this equation, you'll get 4 times 0 plus 4 times 0 is less than or equal to 36. If you plug it into that inequality, you'll get 0 is less than or equal to 36, which is true, right? So that means the 0, 0 side of the equation would be our solution. And so the area that's above in the first and second quadrant, or the first quadrant, based on our x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0, and below the 2 lines, my solution region is going to be this area in here. Okay, and when I go to enter that into WAMAP, I'm going to need the corner points. And then I do need to find this point where the two lines intersect. Now we can maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like it's maybe 6, 4. We can maybe try to guess at it. 6, 4 maybe. And see if that works. It should be a solution to both equations. 2 times 6 plus 5 times 4, does that equal 30? That's 20 plus 12. Nope, that's not 30. That's a little bit too big. So it's not quite 6, 4. We can play around a little bit more, maybe try something different. Or we can just solve a system of equations. If I look at the 2x plus 5y equals 30, and 4x plus 4y equals 36. Let's do elimination. Let's take that top row and multiply it by -2 all the way through. So I'll get a -4x, -10y equals -60. And then when I add those together, the x's will cancel out. I'll get a -6y equals -24. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And then divide both sides by -6, so y does equal 4. I got the 4 coordinate right. I didn't get the x coordinate right there. But I can take that 4 and plug it into one of the two equations and find out what it should be. So if I do, how about just the top one, 2x plus 5 times 4 equals 30. 2x plus 20 equals 30. It looks like x should equal 5. And if x is equal to 5, let's see, does that work in the second set of equations? 4 times 5 plus 4 times 4, is that equal to 36? And yes, 20 plus 16 does equal 36. So that our intersection point is the point here, 5, 4. So my 6, 4 was a pretty close guess, but it wasn't quite right. Sometimes you can read it off your graph if you've graphed carefully. I didn't graph all that carefully here. I mean, my lines aren't exactly straight. I don't have a really good grid to work off of, but that's okay. So my solution region is, but anyway, the solution region is this chunk down here in the bottom. All right, and now when I go to WAMAP, I've got to go enter that into WAMAP. And the way that our questions are formatted is it wants us to just draw that polygon. So it says I'm going to create a polygon here, and one of my points was 0, 0, and then I went up to 0, 6. So I'm going to go up to here, hit the mouse button to click, and then I had 5, 4, which would be that point, and then it was 0, 9, I believe, here, and then, whoops, that was a little bit off. Hopefully it'll still give it to me, and then comes back to 0, 0 is where we're going. So we're going to draw in that whole region. We're going to try and submit that and see what it says. All right, it took that answer.